गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः. So last time we were seeing Akasha. We are in Amrit Anubhav chapter 2 verse number 22 and Akasha he saveva parin bandhe Akashachi hava ऐसे कोण ही एक भरीव आकाशजो. The gross space is empty and has imagined parts of directions etc., and yet it wants to accommodate more and more. But the Guru consciousness is such a solid space, ever full and complete, quite different from the empty space. So here we saw that we covered half of it, and today we were going to see the three types of Akash. And here it says that that just as don't consider the outside space and the conscious space as the same. In the gross space, the directions, the 8 directions are imagined, and in the space, all the upadhis. What are the upadhis? All the forms are imagined from this, just because it is said that there is space, air, fire, water, earth. These are the this is how the space gives birth to air, air gives birth to what you call fire, and then so on to water and earth. Doesn't mean that there is anything like this from space point of view. Just as from water's point of view there is nothing called waves, from gold point of view there is nothing called ornaments. Similarly, space is nothingness. How can something come out from nothingness? Space is not an object of cognition. Absence of objects is called space. This we have to work upon. But space never, even though everything is what you call imagined, parts are imagined in it, even though it's only an imagination, it never feels full. This is our experience, isn't it? That cosmos is continuously expanding. It's hungry for more and more and more, just like our mind is hungry for more and more. One house is not enough, we want 10. One meal is not enough, we want 5, 6, 7 meals in a day. How much do we need to survive? But we want more. There's no end to it. Just like this space. So, but space never feels full and satiated with what it has. So that is the nature of space. And what is this space? It is emptiness. It's nothingness. And that nothingness, that emptiness is trying to fill itself up. Itself is how can that be possible? How can something that is not there is trying to fill itself up and is having desire for more? This, don't think about it objectively. Think it subjectively. Think about it subjectively. How come your mind asking for more and more and more and more? Just like the space is expanding, your mind is also, from childhood till now, it has kept expanding. More knowledge, more responsibility, more duties, more family, more weight, more stomach, say, more disease, more health, more likes, more dislikes compared to child when you were born. Today, more likes and more dislikes. There's never no end to it. Continuously expanding, and it's never satiated with it, with what it has. See, the idea for a spiritual seeker, it's a very important point that he must be content wherever he is as he is. And if we are not content, how are we going to stop the onslaught of thoughts in our mind? Only when we are content, then this continuous eruption of thoughts will cease, or desires will cease. For that we have to come to some time in our life, we have to come to this conclusion, enough, हो गया, बहुत हो गया, no more. Then the journey will begin. So these things have to be put into practice in our daily life. That where I am, as I am, how I am is perfect. Nothing more needs to be added. Now let's begin to our true self. Now let's come to, from the outside world, I don't need anything more. Bhagwan himself says, you think about me, I'll take care of you, what you need. We are ready to quote it, but we are not ready to live by it. Continuously desiring more and more, which shows that we have less faith in God, or we have no faith in God and His words when He says, Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam Ye Jana Paryopasate Tesham Nityabhiyuktanam Yoga Kshemam Vahamyam. Whatever you need and whatever is needed to be protected, I'll take care of it. Whatever is required, I will give it to you. You stop this running after the world. Stopping to run after the world is contentment. There is always the possibility of adding more and more to space of ad nauseam till infinity. There is no satiation, for space is hunger. Although space is asanga, even though space is asanga, space is not attached to air, fire, water, earth. Space is not attached to any house. Space is not attached to any pot. Space is not attached to any form. It is not attached to any form. Yet it keeps desiring more and more and more and more and more. This is exactly our case also. We cannot, if you think in a different angle, there is nothing that we can get attached to in life. If you think coolly, it is not a possibility also for you to attach, to create a relationship. Your eyes cannot get attached to anything. Your nose cannot get attached to the breath. Breath also keeps coming, keeps going, keeps coming, keeps coming. The forms keep coming and going. Vision is the same. Ears are also the same. The sounds keep coming and going, keep coming. Ears cannot get attached to one sound. If you say, I love that music, I'm attached to Bhimsen Joshi. But Bhimsen Joshi, when he sings, it's a continuous, one after the other, some sound is coming out. You cannot get attached. You attaching to an idea. Same way, mind cannot get attached to any thoughts. Even though thoughts cannot appear without the mind, but mind cannot get attached to that. It's allowing every thought to come and go, every thought to come and go. So just like space is not attached to anything and it seems as if that it has got an insatiable hunger, similarly our senses, and when we say your senses, our five senses and the mind, they are also, it is not a possibility at all for them to attach to any damn thing. Yet the eyes keep seeking form, the ears keep seeking sound, the nose keeps seeking gravitating towards good smell and running away from bad one. The tongue wants more and more and more. Mind wants more and more and more thoughts. This is an observation. Although space is asanga, not attached to the four elements, additions do not remove the essential nature of the space, that is emptiness. So even though the four elements appear, the entire cosmos, the whole universe that we know with all the planets, they are objects. So many objects are coming, but that they are unable to affect the space, and the space is not attached to any one of them. So many things are so many galaxies are being born at this moment and are getting destroyed at this moment. Just like so many thoughts are being born in your mind and so many thoughts are dying in your mind, even as you listen. So many breaths are going in and so many breaths are going out, even as you listen. So many forms are coming in front of your eyes and so many forms are going away. Exactly the same way. So in this creation, think in a different angle. Attachment is a misnomer. It is not possible. Attachment is not possible. In the equipment, attachment is not possible. In the Atma also, in the self also, attachment is not possible, because self is also asanga. And equipment is inert. That is also not there. Also, space is inert. It is there also. What do you call? Attachment is not possible. So where is attachment? It's a ghost. Although space, additions do not remove the essential nature of the space, which is emptiness. On the other hand, the Guru Maharaj, the Chidakash, is such a solid space that it is all fullness. There is no emptiness. So why is the space continuously expanding and hungry for more and more and more and more? Because it is empty. So it wants to fill itself up. And who is the Guru Maharaj? He is the Chidakash. What is the Guru principle? That is the self. What is this self? Another name for the self is Chidakash. And what is this Chidakash? That Akash, Chit Akash. Not Chittakash. Chit Akash is Chidakash. The Ta, because of the Sandhi rule, becomes the. So Akash is emptiness. That emptiness which is filled, permeated by Chit, consciousness, that is called Chidakash. And that is the Guru principle. That is the Guru Maharaj. See? And because it is filling up the entire space through and through, just like the water is filling up the wave through and through, wave has got no iota of independence other than water. Ornament has got no independent existence other than gold. Exactly the same way, the Akash, the Chidakash, is that Akash. We have come to realize this. Akash is the same. In that, the other two are imagined. But when we come to this realization that this emptiness is through and through filled with consciousness that I am, then it is called as solid space. This is the unique take of Jnaneshwar Maharaj. Solid space is such solid space that it is all fullness. There is no emptiness available in this space because it is already full with consciousness. So there is no hunger. So there is no hunger to fill itself up. Hunger is always there. When the tummy is empty, then you feel hungry. But here, the space is ever satiated, ever contented, ever satisfied, because it is full of consciousness. And thus here, and therefore because it is full, so no emptiness, so no desire to fill up. There are three types of Akasha. What are they? Bhutakash, Chittakash and Chidakash. What is Bhutakash? Bhutakash is the gross space which supports all the names and forms, where the gross world, Bhautika Jagat, is existing in the waking state because of the identification with the gross body. So this Bhutakash cannot be in the dream or the sleep. No, this is the gross space. Well, I can say it can be. Why should I say it is not? When we say the world, for us the world is waking, dream and deep sleep. So that one space itself is appearing as the gross, subtle and causal, if you take it that way. Anyway, so Bhautika Jagat is the gross world. So when we use the word gross, it's that which is perceived by our five senses. Only when we are identified with the gross body, we are able to perceive through the five senses. In the waking state, because of the identification with the gross body. So that is the Bhutakash. What is Chittakash? Chittakash is that which is in which is manifested the subtle body or dream state, and where the objects of experience, the experiencer and the experience, are all at the level of Chitta or the mind. So in the Bhutakash, what is the difference? We are the experiencer. The space in which the whole world is existing is experienced. Experiencer and the experienced are separate. The world, the Bhutakash, is a word in my mouth or a thought in my mind, and the corresponding form or idea is appearing outside. The world is appearing outside, separate from the mind. It seems that way in the gross state, in the waking state. But in the Chittakash, the experiencer is the mind, the experienced is also the mind, and the experience which is taking place, that is also in the mind. So that is Chittakash, and that is the dream state basically, and where the objects of experience, the experiencer and the experience, are all at the level of Chitta or the mind. And the third is Chidakash. Chidakash, which is Chit or pure consciousness. It is Akash not because it is empty, but like Akash. I think avakashat iti akash, meaning that which can accommodate is called space. So, because of this quality, this the space has got its name as Akash. Space is not a is an English word. Akash is more doing more justice to that 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 space in which the entire universe is existing. So, because of that quality of accommodation, it is called as, or because of its quality of emptiness, it is called as Akash. See, the gross space, outside space, this is what we did meditation on today. The outside space is only a thought in the mind. Because you have a thought called space in the mind, just like I have a thought called computer in my mind, there is a computer outside. Name and form always go together. You cannot have a name and no form. You cannot have a form and no name. See? So, the word space in our mind is giving, and its corresponding is the outside. So what is the source of this outside space? Our mind. Without the mind, we will not be able to cognize the outside space, isn't it? Then what is the source of the mental space? See, what is the source of the mental space? It is the Chidakash. Space is the same. Just like the Bhutakash is imagined in the Chittakash, same way Chittakash is also imagined or superimposed on the Chidakash, just like a wave is an imagination on water. You are touching, feeling, tasting water, but you are calling it a wave. There is nothing else apart from water in that wave. Same way, there is nothing else apart from Chidakash, that's it. There is nothing else apart from it. But in that, because of our identification, because of our attachment, because of our ignorance, whatever you may call, we give rise or we accept ourselves as the mind, and then in that mind another we accept as the gross world or the subtle gross world. So here examples were taken as the gross world, subtle world, and the conscious gross space, subtle space, and the conscious space. Waking, dream, and straight, instead of going to sleep, straight away you go to conscious space. Remain awake. And same thing I am telling from a different angle, and that is the gross space is superimposed on the mental space. And how did it supposed? By thought. And mental space is superimposed on the conscious space. If you look at it from top to bottom, from conscious space, as if mental space has been projected out, and from the mental space, as if the gross space has been projected out. See? As if from the man, the husband or the father or the son has been projected out, but the man is the same. See? So what is this space? What is this Akash? It is not attached to anything. This is its nature. Huh? So now when we are talking about Akash, you look at it in its totality. Gross, subtle and conscious space. Akash is not attached to anything. Second, it can support any name and form, just like the outside space supports all the names and forms. All the forms. The mental space can support all the names. And but I got Lalalulia. There's no form of this particular sound expressing out there. How do you know? Do you know the whole world out there? You only know you're confined to your 3-bedroom house or 10-bedroom house. You haven't even visited to even 1/10 of the world. And you're saying that this word doesn't exist. We don't have the experience of the total gross world yet. We don't know all the languages. We don't know what. It could be a very simple thing that that this word may be the name for something that is very familiar, but we don't know that. Just like in one language, the water is, in English it's called water, in Hindi it is called pani, in some other language tanni, in Sanskrit it is jal. But if we don't know the other languages, oh, what is jal? It becomes a joke. Oh, jal, 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 jal. But once you know jal, this is water. So same way, the space supports all the names and forms. And if there is no space, there is no name and form possible. Understand this also. Without space, no name and form is possible. Third, it cannot be destroyed by any of its contents, such as the Jeev Jagat Bheda, the multiplicity. So, how do we know there is space? What did we say space was? In meditation we said this. Absence of objects is called space. Space is the cause and name and forms are the effects. Effect can never destroy the cause or ever come to know the cause. It is impossible. But from the effects, you can suss out, you can come to know that there must be something because of which this effect is taking place. So what is that cause because of which this effect is taking place? So what is that because of which earth, water, air, fire and air have come about? That is space. But space as such is nothing. It's not an object like others to be experienced. You cannot experience nothing. When you contemplate on nothing, then you will go into void or go to sleep. So it cannot be destroyed by any of its contents. So we can destroy any form, we can destroy every form that comes into existence, goes out of existence. Every word, every name that appears in our mouth or in our mind, it comes into existence, it goes out of existence. You can even say the waking world goes out of existence, then the dream world goes out of existence. But the mind doesn't go out of existence. Mind keeps going. The mental space is the same. Waking dream keep coming and going, and for some time they don't, both are not expressing, which is called deep sleep. So in this way, the cause cannot be known or destroyed by the effect. See, the tree can never come to know its cause, the seed. Another thing, what we saw before, that the cause itself, this is the second rule of cause and effect, and that is, cause itself is appearing as effects. Water itself, water the cause alone, is expressing as waves, as if. Gold, the cause itself, is appearing as effects, the ornaments. Ornaments are limited, but the gold is unlimited. Wave is limited, but the cause, the water, is unlimited. Similarly, all the forms are limited. The space in which the forms, the cause of the forms is the space. It is unlimited. Thoughts are limited, they come and go, each thought. But where they are appearing, because of which they are appearing, in which they are appearing, the mind space, the thoughts cannot come to know the mind space. So it cannot be destroyed by any of its constants, such as the Jeev Jagat Bheda. So Jiva cannot destroy the space. So trying to finish, oh, I don't want to get caught up in this world, this is all illusion, this is all, you cannot do anything about it. This is the fact. The more you try, the more you will get frustrated. Because for some time you may keep it at bay, but eventually the eyes will open and the forms will appear. For some time you may control your tongue, but after some time the speech will come, the taste will come. For some time you may sleep and run away from the world and dream. But eventually you will wake up. How long will you sleep? 10 hours? 12 hours? And the fourth one, there can be no addition or subtraction in the space. We are not talking about the forms and names and forms. We are talking about Akash. In Akash there can be no addition or subtraction. It is complete. And what is it complete with? Nothing. बड़ा मजेदार चीज है ये. It is complete. So this Chidakash is complete. No, nothing can be added to it, nothing can be subtracted to it. Then what about, because I am conscious of waking, dream and sleep coming and going every day, so there is addition of dream and there is addition or deletion of waking. One thing comes, the other two go away. So many things are going away in the creation. So many things are getting created in the creation. We are talking about the conscious space. Conscious space, no addition and no subtraction is possible. Even if you look at it, at the gross space also, from the space point of view, it alone is. From the water's point of view, it alone is everywhere. It doesn't give any value to wave or no wave. It is water only. From gold point of view, it is only gold. You are calling, outside people are calling it ornament. Outside people, someone else is calling it wave. You take, be the water and then see. You will see only water. Same way, from space's point of view, there is nothing called air, fire, water, earth also. It alone is. Then why? Just now you said it accommodates all the names and forms. This is for you. We are not telling space. We are telling you who's thinking that that I am somebody, that I have to seek the truth, that I have to sort this whole thing out, that I am spiritual. To this individual, this is being told. We are not telling this to space. We are not telling it to Chidakash. We are telling it to the Jivatma, to the individual. Consciousness has no gain when the waking or dream state arise, nor any loss when these two states are withdrawn in deep sleep. The presence of the knower and knowledge trio or their absence means no gain or loss to the conscious space. So conscious space is the substratum. Just like water is not affected even an iota by the appearance or disappearance of n number of waves. Same way, the conscious space, the Chidakash, is not even affected even an iota by n number of waking and dream and deep sleep states coming and going. It's not. Because from its point of view, it alone is. It is full. That space is full. Conscious space is full. Full of consciousness. So in that nothing is possible. Yet it supports. Yet it is the substratum. Now when we use this language, yet it supports and yet it is the substratum, we are not telling the conscious space this. We are telling the one who is thinking. And who is thinking? We are thinking. Our mind is thinking. So this is being addressed to the mind. Oh mind, you are essentially the conscious space. Stop thinking you are an individual space called this. I am my swabhav is this. I am only these are my qualities. These are my shortcomings. I was born on this day and I am having this and this and no, you are not that. You are the conscious space. That is your truth. You are imagining that you are the mental space, and you don't stop there. Then you get. There's no attachment possible. Yet you get attached to some idea in that mind, some thought in that mind, and start defining yourself and get sucked into the whirlpool of individuality. And then once you are caught there, oh, I don't want to sink, I don't want to die, then you want to come out of it. So this is being told to the mind that the presence of the knower known. So the trio, the triputi, the triad of knower known knowing, seer seen seeing, hearer heard hearing, experiencer experienced experiencing, nothing can be known by us as we are at this moment. Nothing can be known without this trio. The waker, the waking experience is an interaction between waker, waking object, waking world, and the waking experience. The dream world is an experience is a trio of dreamer, dream world, and dream experience. And deep sleep is the absence of the previous two. So this trio is there. but the Chidakash is not affected by any trio. So within waking, then so many trios are there. In the dream also so many trios are there. One trio, the major trio, waker, waking experience and the waking world. These three give rise to the trio of teacher, student and learning. Seer, seen and seeing, hearer, heard and hearing, taster, tasted and tasting, thinker, thought and thinking, knower, known and knowing. It goes on. You cannot move through this world of waking and dream without a trio. You cannot, even for a moment. See? So this conscious space is not by their, it does not gain anything by the appearance of this triad, nor there is any loss when this triad is not there. The solid space, that is the Guru Maharaj, can accept and accommodate everyone, not because of emptiness but because of fullness. This is the difference. The gross space is hungry for more. The gross space is hungry for more. The solid space is full. And out of that fullness, it accepts and accommodates, because the space of accepting and accommodating is the quality of the space. Space accommodates. The river is also water and the ocean is also water. But the waves in the river are formed because of its urge to merge in the infinite, because of the movement. And the movement is towards something. I want to go to my beloved. I want to go to my beloved. I want to become one with my beloved. There's a desire. But in the ocean there is no desire. Ocean is full. So the wave on the river is formed out of the desire to merge into the ocean, and the wave in the ocean is formed out of the fullness that the ocean is. Out of its own inherent bliss, fullness, completeness, the waves are formed. Not because of any desire. So this is the difference. If our mind is empty, it will try to fill itself up with something or the other, some activity, some thought, some imagination. So if that is the case, why not replace all imaginations with one imagination, which is not an imagination? What is that imagination? As long as that is a thought, it is an imagination. That this space is full of consciousness. As long as you are thinking, it's an imagination. But that consciousness is not an imagination. That is you. That is your nature. That is your intrinsic self. And unless we don't come to this Chidakash, till then we'll be like the empty space, wanting more and more and more, expanding. There is no end to it. But once we come to this Chidakash or Chit, the consciousness, immediately we feel complete, we feel fulfilled, we feel contented, we feel happy. Everything is okay after that. Then you are not, once that fullness is recognized as your own essential nature, without a thought, Because thought will mean again an object introduced in space, and thought is coming and going. So without thought, when it is realized, then everything is absolutely as it is. In fact, for such a person, there is nothing called everything, because wherever he looks, he sees himself. Like wherever you look in your body, you see yourself only. You don't see someone else is expressing through the hand. You don't see, say, some ghost is expressing through the leg. Another ghost is expressing through the mouth, speaking right now. No, that is not. I am. This becomes, in fact, here, even though we are saying that this example is limited because here still our attention is on the form, but it's the closest example I can give. In conscious space, there is no form. It's beginningless and endless consciousness, conscious space, which is ever full. And in that everything is imagined. And when we say in that everything is imagined or superimposed or projected on it, that we are not telling the Chidakash, we are telling the one who is feeling, he is an individual, who is a seeker, who is identified with his body and mind. To that person we are saying that all this is superimposed and imagined on that Chidakash. Otherness is created only because of the perception of absence of emptiness. Okay? Another important point. If we don't perceive the fullness of the of your nature, that you are all that there is, then immediately the contrary will appear. What is that? Oh, emptiness. And with that emptiness, see, emptiness is equal to avyakta, is equal to maya, is equal to ignorance, is equal to nothingness or void. And vacuum always wants to fill up wherever. Emptiness cannot remain empty, it has to fill up. So when our attention is not on the fullness, it is on the emptiness, then here it says that then otherness is created. So even in meditation, when if our attention is not on the subjective self, but our eyes are looking out, or our mind is thinking, "Oi, there is no thought, I am not having any thought," and then it stops and still there is no thought, it is still looking outwards. And eventually fear will enter the mind, because it is seeking objectively. Its attention is on the empty space. So that is not subjective approach. Subjective approach is, who knows? Mind has become empty. The Chittakash has become empty. Who knows this? That is the one who is filling up the entire. If we can say that. Now again I am creating, the self is filling up the space of the mind. It's like I'm saying water is filling up the wave. Gold is filling up the ornament. See, if you think of, sit with this type of thought for even 2, 3, 5 seconds, you will vanish. You will be with yourself. So otherness is created only because of the perception of absence or emptiness. The more the attention on the emptiness, the more is the plurality established. The more we are focused on the emptiness, then the journey of the mind, the chittakash or the spaces, then there will be manifestation, unmanifestation, manifestation, unmanifestation, manifestation, unmanifestation. And if you want to put all the manifestations and unmanifestations in one group, it is called waking, dream, and deep sleep. Waking and dream are the manifestations, and waking is the gross manifestation, dream is the subtle manifestation, and deep sleep is the unmanifestation of the gross and the subtle. See? Then automatically these three will start, because our attention is on the space. But if our attention is on the consciousness, on the subject itself, on the source, on the one, who is illuminating all this, then this cycle comes to a stop. This cycle of waking, dream, deep sleep, the cycle of manifestation and unmanifestation, it becomes still. That is exactly told in the next chapter, in the next chapter, that Vaikhari Madhyama Pashyanti Para. So what is there happening? This manifestation, every word that you are what I am speaking right now, the word is coming into manifestation, then going out of manifestation. Then the next word is coming into manifestation, going out of manifestation. So we take the support of the word, of the mantra, and we just run after it like it's nobody's business, with bhav. So then from Vaikhari, Madhyama, Pashyanti, and Para. And then once we have gone to the Para, then from that moment onwards, we are unaffected by the manifestation or the unmanifestation. We have come to the source. We have come to the substratum. So the more the attention on the emptiness, the more is the plurality established. See, like one example, one person, he went to the beach for a holiday, for a well-earned holiday of 2 days or 1 week, whatever. I worked hard the whole year, now 1 week holiday. So he went there and he saw one person fishing, sitting on the bridge. He is catching the fish. He caught the fish from the water flowing under the bridge, got the fish, gave it a kiss, threw it back into the water. Again caught another fish, gave it a kiss, again threw it back into the water. And he did this all day long. And at the end of the day, he caught one fish and took it home. And this tourist, he saw, and this fellow was wearing ragged clothes, very uncouth, dirty, like he was feeling pity on him. But he observed over 2-3 days that this fellow is catching so many fishes and then throwing them back in the river, and takes only 1 or 2 home for food. He says, why don't you catch all the fish and put them in the bucket and take it home? Then what will I do? He said, then you can eat what you want and sell the rest of it. Then what will happen? Then you will earn some money. then what will happen? Then you can buy good clothes, you can buy some soap, you can buy some toothpaste and brush, get yourself clean. Then what will happen? Then you will feel good about yourself. Then what will happen? Oh, then you can expand your business. When you have money, you have saved some, then you can get a boat and you can go out and fish even larger amounts of fish. Then you can employ more people. Then your portfolio will increase. Then from one boat to second boat to third boat to fourth boat. Just like we do one house, two house, three house, five houses. One child, two child, three child. One dress, one cloth. Oh, this is different style. Okay, one more type of dress. This color dress, that color dress. This style, that style. The latest style. Then what will happen? Oh, then you will be providing income to so many people. They will be so happy that you are their employer. And then what will happen? Then you can come on holidays like I come to this place and spend in luxury 1 week after working for 51 weeks. Then 52nd week you can come and take holiday. He said, I'm already on a holiday. Every day. You have holiday only 1 week a year. I have holiday 52 weeks a year. If all doing this is going to make me happy so that, and when I do feel happy, when I come on a holiday, I'm already happy, man. This is the difference between masters and us. We are seeking. We are empty, so we want to fill up with more activity, more thoughts, more ideas, more. We want to fill ourselves up. We want to do. And there is no end to it. Whereas a master is absolutely content as he is, where he is, what he is. Nothing can be added to him, nothing can be subtracted for him. That is his disposition. Then here he says, if the attention is on the presence, this is the subject matter, the self, if the attention is on the presence, plurality disappears. Very simply put, we have given this example many times. If the eyes are illuminating, or if the vision or the eye is illuminating all the forms out there, and your eyes are seeing, oh, all forms are appearing in the space, gross space. You bring, what is the cause of all the forms? Eyes. If the eyes are not there, you cannot see the forms. So let the eyes see themselves. See what happens then. We have to do this experiment. The moment you start doing it, suddenly all the forms dissolve into one soup and eventually vanish. There is only darkness, emptiness in front of the eyes. All the forms will vanish. Then same way, in the mind all the thoughts are there. When the mind thinks about its source, then all the thoughts will vanish. And that is what it is. When the mind is almost coming to be empty, or when it has become empty, shift the attention rather than to the emptiness, shift the attention to the one in whose presence the emptiness is expressing. Because after some time the emptiness will become, some thought will come. This will be more explained more in detail scientifically in the next chapter. When we are chanting the mantra, the appearance of the mantra Om and the absence of the mantra Om. So appearance and absence, both are illumined, both are happening in my presence. I know there is Om and I know there is no Om now. When there is no Om, then it is empty mind, it is emptiness. In this way, here he is saying, when the attention is on the presence, plurality disappears. So when we are chanting the mantra, when we are listening here also, so many words are coming to you. Your attention, in spite of the words, must be on the consciousness. That is where every thought here is taking, or we are attempting to take our attention back to the conscious principle. Such presence is solid space. That presence is your natural state. That presence has never come and gone. Waker can come and go, dreamer can come and go, objects can come and go, thoughts can come and go, emotions can come and go, concepts can come and go. But this presence, it never comes and goes. It always knows what is coming and going, if it puts attention. It is not affected by the coming and going of anything. Such presence is solid space where there may be manyness, but there is no plurality. Why there is no plurality? From the conscious space, from the Chidakash point of view, it alone is. Just like the gross space is supporting air, fire, water, earth and the consequent creation, but space is untouched by air, fire, water, earth and the consequent creation. Because so many galaxies are coming and getting destroyed, space is not getting created or getting destroyed. Because so many thoughts are coming and going, mind is not coming and going. So it is foolish to say that my mind is depressed. No, thought, you have got identified with the thoughts, not with the substratum on which the thoughts are coming. So this conscious principle, this Chidakash, this presence, it supports all the plurality without getting affected by the plurality. This solid space, Guru Maharaj is, this is the Guru principle. It is from here, this unchanging principle. It is of the nature of blessing. It is of the nature of prasad. It is of the nature of grace. It is of the nature of wisdom. Whenever our attention goes to that presence, knowingly or unknowingly, we are absolutely content. We are absolutely at home at that very moment. In fact, there has never been a moment that you have been away from home, because that is your nature. How can you be out of your nature? There has never been a moment when the wave has been away from water. There has never been a moment when the ornament has been away from gold. There has never been a moment when what you think, who you think you are at this moment, body, breath, mind, intellect, father, mother, daughter, sister, that you have been ever separated from the presence that you are, the Chidakash that you are, the conscious space that you are. And there is nothing lacking in that. When we create relationships, when we accumulate objects of the world, it's only because we feel there is a lack. If we want security, it is only because we are insecure. We only want more because we feel we don't have enough. There's no end to that. And if you're happy doing that, continue. Then no point listening all this. Because you're already happy. Why you're listening to all this? But if all that has not given you the contentment and the solace that you are seeking in life, happiness that it as if slips away from between your fingers, then if you keep thinking the way you are thinking before, then same thing you will keep getting. We have to change the thinking. That's why we come to a satsang. To change our notions, to change our ideas. And what are the ideas that are being presented here? These ideas are indicating what our essential nature is. They are again and again pounding on our mind that you are not incomplete. Oh mind, by nature you are complete, just like we are telling a wave, hey wave, don't worry about birth and death, that you are infinite water. We are telling the mind, hey, you are the infinite conscious space. There's nothing lacking in that. And that solid space is the Guru Maharaj. That solid space, that presence permeating the space, or the presence, let's take it as presence, that is the Guru principle. And that Guru principle alone appears as the Guru Maharaj, a teacher in our life. See? As grace in our life. So when our attention is on that presence, really speaking, you don't need any teaching after that. Arun Maharshi came to know his essential nature, this presence, without studies of any scriptures, without any physical guru. Because he was committed to know what is my true nature. We are not committed to know what is our true nature. Therefore, we keep shortchanging or compensating and wanting it. Someone should touch me, someone should teach me, someone should guide me, someone should remove my doubt, someone should tell me how should I proceed in my meditation. We are only asking all this guidance, wanting support, only because we are not committed to know our essential nature. We are not ready to experiment. We want it on a plate, and that is not possible. It will be a frustrating existence. See? Nisargadatta Maharaj just went once and he heard, you are that. Came, no scriptures, no studies, didn't know Sanskrit, didn't attend any satsang like this, just one satsang for 1 hour. But that also, what he understood, we don't know. But he understood, you are that. And he went and asked the teacher. And he didn't complicate his mind with too much data. He committed to it. And eventually, I am that. Story over. Arun Maharishi, story over. Nisargadatta Maharaj did not study any scriptures afterwards. Ramana Maharishi did study scriptures afterwards. But we are now addicted to scriptures rather than being addicted to the presence. Our mind should be addicted to the presence, that it is continuously, incessantly fascinated by that which is beyond its ambit of cognition, beyond its comprehension. Like we are so fascinated, how would be the Rockies in America, how would be the Bermuda Triangle, how would be the Himalayas, Kailash, because we had not been there. So that brings out, with inspiration we prepare and we go there and we collect the money and we go and visit all those places and explore. This is the ultimate exploration. If that bent of mind is there to explore, put in front of your mind this destination, which is its own nature, and see the magic happen then. And the grace of Guru Maharaj will bring whatever is required in that, it will come. Or whatever is, actually nothing is required, because self is complete. Nothing is required. If we have the staying power to keep contemplating on that Chit Vastu, the essence, the presence, and it is not separate, it is not out there, it is me, it is always with me, it is me, not always with me, it is me. So we don't have to look for anything, take support of anything, guidance from anything, listen to anything, read anything, go anywhere in order to be the presence. You are all the time. So here was another verse, a beautiful one on the Bhutakash, Chittakash and Chidakash. Chidakash being the presence, which is complete, and the other two spaces are empty. Therefore, they are always hungry for more. Whereas the Chidakash, the conscious space, because of its fullness, is never hungry for anything, yet supports everything, but it is not hungry for anything. And because it is not hungry, it is able to, that is the Guru Maharaj, and it is able to guide and accommodate everyone and everything without like or dislike. I'm using that word, it's not given here. How the glory of the Guru Maharaj, the pure consciousness, functions through every point of expression is expressed in the next OV, and we will see that. We started 8:30, 9:30. We'll do this next verse next time. No hurry. Take this thought, these three, Bhutakash, Chittakash and Chidakash. If you have the book, read, or you can go to the YouTube and listen to it again and contemplate. Contemplate on your true being, which is not lacking in anything. Otherwise, our whole life is only filling up with this, with that, with relation, with possession, with accumulation, with fear, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsya, quality, good qualities, bad qualities, food, comfort, discomfort. Continuously we are always after something. When you think about it in this way, just by listening to it, by thinking about it, oh, I am that. I am the presence. I am the one in whose presence everything is coming and going. I am not which is coming and going. I am the one who is still. ॐ पूर्णमदा पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Just sit quietly for a minute. Be the presence. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Next class on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Lajuji, Hari Om.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
You were there, Laju, in the morning?
Yes, I was. I love the meditation.
Okay.
I actually felt like, yeah, that's the way to think about it now. It's just yourself and nothing else. I never had such wonderful meditation. There are a couple of your meditation which I started is really putting me into the track.
Good.
Thank you.
You are available.
Thank you.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om, take care.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hello, Renuka.
Swamiji.
Ah, Lumina, you are also there.
Yes,
Internet working.
threw me out once this time.
Okay. Okay, good.
You're doing the morning meditation.
7.
Pardon?
7 o'clock.
Oh, okay, good. I didn't realize. Thanks.
Oi, now you are realized then. Please guide us. Please guide us.
Hari Om Swamiji.
Hari Om, Renuka.
Thank you.
Ah, good. You're working from home?
Yes, Swamiji. Yeah.
Okay.
Missing you, Swamiji. Missing your presence.
Another few days, then it will be
And
slowly.
Dinky too.
Ah.
How is the cat? How is the cat?
So you're not missing me, you're missing the cat.
Both.
Now the truth is coming out. Now the truth is coming out.
And Dimpi. Both.
She's fine. She's fine.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om.
Thank you, Swamiji.
Ah, Hari Om, Papa.
Hari Om, Swamiji.
Hari Om
Hari Om,
Swamiji.
Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om. Take care.